All right, Elena, I gotta say, my jaw dropped when I saw the alert pop up this morning. Alex Bregman, 5 years, $175 million, staying with the Chicago Cubs. I mean, wow.
Wow is absolutely the word, James. I honestly had to reread it a couple of times just to make sure I wasn't dreaming. We knew he was traded to the Cubs a while back, but signing this long-term deal before he even hit free agency? That's a power move from the Cubs and a massive commitment.
Totally. It feels like such a decisive statement from the Cubs front office. Remember when he first got traded from Houston? Everyone was talking about whether it was just a rental, a try-before-you-buy kind of situation. Well, they've definitely bought in, big time.
They really have. And it makes perfect sense when you look at how he's performed since joining them. I mean, let's be real, his numbers with the Astros this year weren't exactly Bregman-esque before the trade. He was hitting .257 with 10 homers. Decent, but not $175 million decent.
Exactly. But then he puts on the Cubs uniform, gets to Wrigley, and it's like a switch flipped. He finished out the season hitting .309 with 11 home runs in just 49 games for them. That's a significant bump in production, and just shows you how much a change of scenery can impact a player, especially one of his caliber.
It's incredible, isn't it? It almost feels like a second career resurgence. He was already a superstar, a two-time All-Star, an MVP runner-up, World Series champ with Houston. But to see him rediscover that elite form in Chicago, it tells me he feels comfortable there, that he fits in, and that's what the Cubs were betting on.
And it paid off. This move prevents him from even testing the free agent market, which was a huge win for the Cubs. Imagine the bidding war for a player like Bregman, especially coming off that strong finish. Scott Boras would have had a field day.
Oh, absolutely. Boras would have been rubbing his hands together with glee. The fact that they locked him up before he even hit free agency speaks volumes about their confidence in him and perhaps his desire to stay in Chicago. I remember Carter Hawkins, the GM, saying back when they traded for him, "We certainly hope that this is a long-term marriage for Alex and the Cubs." Looks like his hopes came true.
It really did. And let's not forget the context here. Bregman was entering the final year of that 5-year, $100 million extension he signed with Houston way back in 2019. He was due $28.5 million in 2024. So this new deal basically extends that commitment and gives him a significant raise, especially considering the timing.
Yeah, it's a smart play for both sides, honestly. Bregman gets long-term security, a hefty sum, and gets to stay with a team he clearly thrives with in a city that's embraced him. And the Cubs solidify their infield, add an experienced championship-winning bat to the lineup, and send a message to the rest of the league.
A message indeed. It tells me they're serious about competing in the NL Central, and not just for a wild card spot, but for the division title. You look at their existing core, Dansby Swanson, Ian Happ, Nico Herner, whom they've also extended recently. Bregman just slides right into that established, winning-focused group.
Definitely. It reinforces that internal philosophy they seem to have. Identify your core and keep them around. Swanson was a big free agent splash, and then they locked up Happ and Herner, now Bregman. They're building something substantial, not just patching holes.
And what about the impact on the NL Central? I mean, with the Cardinals always lurking and other teams trying to make moves, this feels like the Cubs just took a major step forward, cementing themselves as a top contender, at least on paper, for the foreseeable future.
Oh, it absolutely changes the calculus. The Cardinals are always going to be the Cardinals, and they'll be competitive. But adding a proven, high-impact player like Bregman for 5 years, that's a significant advantage. It gives them stability at third base, a consistent bat in the middle of the order, and a veteran presence in the clubhouse who knows what it takes to win a World Series.
You know, one thing I always admired about Bregman, even when he was with the Astros, was his plate discipline and his ability to get on base. His career on-base percentage is north of .370, which is just fantastic. And for the Cubs, who sometimes struggle with consistency at the plate, that's invaluable.
Absolutely. He's not just a power hitter, he's a complete hitter. He takes his walks, he works counts, he rarely strikes out looking. That kind of disciplined approach really sets the tone for an offense. And let's not forget his defense at third base. He's got a strong arm and makes the tough plays look routine.
Yeah, his glove is definitely underrated sometimes because of his bat, but he's a Gold Glove caliber defender out there. So you're getting offense, defense, and leadership all rolled into one player. It's a huge package for $175 million over 5 years. When you break it down, it's roughly $35 million a year, which in today's market for a player of his stature is actually pretty good value, I think.
I agree. Considering what other players of similar impact are getting, and his relatively young age for a long-term deal, he's still in his prime. I think the Cubs did well here. It shows that they're willing to spend to win, which is something their fan base has been wanting to see for a while now.
It definitely gives the fan base a jolt of confidence. They've seen some of their stars move on in recent years, and while the rebuild was necessary, it's always tough. This, though, feels like a definitive turn in a new direction, a commitment to contending right now.
And it's not just about the money or the years, it's about continuity. When you have a player like Bregman, who's been part of winning cultures, signing long-term, it sends a message throughout the clubhouse. It says, we're building something special, and we want you to be a part of it for the long haul.
Absolutely. It builds that internal stability. And for Bregman, personally, I think it's a fantastic move. He avoids the uncertainty of free agency, gets to settle down in a new city that clearly suits him well, and gets to play for a historic franchise with a passionate fan base. It's a win-win, really.
It really is. You know, I was thinking about the transition from the Astros. He spent his entire career there, 9 years. That's a long time to be with one organization, especially one that had so much success. It must have been a little bittersweet to be traded, but to land with a team like the Cubs and immediately sign a long-term deal, that's about as good a landing spot as you could ask for.
No kidding. And it also highlights the business side of baseball. Teams are always looking for that edge, that player who can push them over the top. The Cubs saw that in Bregman, and they didn't hesitate to pull the trigger on both the trade and now this extension.
And it makes you wonder what other moves the Cubs might make. With Bregman locked in, does that free them up to pursue other pieces, maybe a starting pitcher, or bolster the bullpen? This move feels like a cornerstone, allowing them to build around it.
Exactly. You've got your third baseman locked in, your middle infield is solid with Swanson and Herner, Happ in left field. They've got pieces. Now it's about optimizing the pitching staff. That's usually the next big question mark for any contending team.
For sure, but they've got some young talent bubbling up too, which is exciting. Combine that with established veterans like Bregman, and you've got a really interesting mix. The blend of experience and youthful energy can be incredibly potent.
It really can. And Bregman brings that World Series pedigree, you know? He's been there, done that. He knows what it takes to perform under pressure in October. That kind of experience is invaluable in a playoff race.
Absolutely. You can't put a price on that kind of veteran leadership and playoff experience. He's been in the biggest moments, he's faced the toughest pitchers, and he's come through. That's going to be huge for the Cubs, especially with some of their younger guys coming up.
So, looking ahead, what's your biggest takeaway from this whole deal, for Bregman's career and for the Cubs franchise?
For Bregman, I think it solidifies his legacy as an elite player who found a perfect new home. It's a second chapter that started incredibly strong, and now he has the chance to write a truly memorable one in Chicago. For the Cubs, it's a massive statement of intent. They are serious, they are spending, and they are building to win now and for the next half-decade. It's a very exciting time to be a Cubs fan, I'd say.
I couldn't agree more. It feels like the Cubs are truly back in that conversation for being perennial contenders. It's a monumental deal for a monumental player. I can't wait to see what they do next. This offseason just got even more interesting. Thanks for breaking it all down with me, Elena.
My pleasure, James. It's definitely a headline that's going to reverberate around the league for a while. We'll be keeping a close eye on Wrigley. Until next time.